Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Shorts Roundtable. My name is Bridget, and I am one of the Filmmaker Conversations production coordinators here at SIFT this year, and I will be hosting today's talk. Today, we want to take a moment here to offer special thanks to PNC for sponsoring our Filmmaker Conversations content throughout the entirety of the festival. On today's roundtable, we'll be joined by filmmakers from some of our short films included in our Shorts Program 11. With that in mind, allow me to welcome our guest to today's conversation. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Hello.
Hi.
So excited you are all able to make it today. So to get us started, I would like to ask each of you to introduce yourself, your film, what your role was on your film, and also let us know where you're joining us from today. And Maria, I will let you start.
Yes, hi. Thanks for having me today. I'm Maria. I'm the director and the writer from the film Ola Kaju, Take and Run. And I'm based in Switzerland, so I'm far away from Cleveland.
Oh. Hey, I'm Anthony Sneed. I'm the writer-director of Swipe. I'm currently in LA, but I work out of Brooklyn.
Hi, I'm Nadine Patterson. I am the co-writer, director, editor of We Are Free Because of Harriet Tubman. And I hail from the great state of Pennsylvania and Philadelphia.
Philly, that's almost local to Cleveland. So welcome. We're happy that you were all able to join us today. Philly to Switzerland, that's amazing. The first thing we would like to ask each of you is what led you to making this particular film and perhaps how you became involved in the making of this film. Maria, take it away.
Ola Kaju, Take and Run is a film about bride kidnapping. It's a marriage by force. And we shot the film in Kyrgyzstan, so it was not so easy to bring the cultures together. But I heard about the topic of bride kidnapping, and I didn't know about it. I really felt ashamed, and I was shocked that something like this exists in our world, and nobody knows. So as a filmmaker, I thought it's very important to tell the story of the bride kidnapped women in Kyrgyzstan. So I hope the women get some help and you can see how it happens to them, and maybe we can change something with this film.
So I made Swipe. It's based on a true story. When I was in eighth grade, meet a bunch of guys, decided, this is in the 90s, to date myself, that one of us was going to go into a store and steal a porno magazine and run out of it. And we did it. And I kept going back to thinking about it. And it was just a little side idea that I had. And I was just at the AFI Conservatory. I just graduated. And when thesis came around, they're going to hate me for saying this, but like I submitted it as one of my thesis ideas and like it completely got rejected. And I ended up making a thesis that I'm like, is not getting into festivals. And then this thing's getting into like everything. So it's just like, not the same thing about AFI necessarily, but more to say about that. If you really believe in an idea, I think you should really get behind it and just, see it till its completion. Don't let other people tell you that it's not good.
Yeah, and that's amazing. All the films sound really, I want to see them. Our film, We Are Free Because of Harriet Tubman, is an experimental documentary, and I worked on a poetry film workshop with Sonia Sanchez called Haiku Film, Spring into Film. And after the workshop, Sonia Sanchez, the great poet, wanted to make her own film, Haiku Film, and she asked me, and 2 years later we started production along with my mother, Marlene Patterson, who is another producer on the project and researcher. And my mom discovered the names of the enslaved Africans that Harriet Tubman led to freedom, and we incorporated the names of those African people into the script. So it's a haiku film with the names of actual people who were led to freedom by Harriet Tubman. And it's a wonderful experimental soundtrack with bass played by the awesome Christian McBride.
Well, thank you for sharing your insight. And then to follow up on the first question, we're hoping that you might share with our audience something interesting about the filming of it, either trials and tribulations that you learned while filming or any fun behind the scenes stories. We would love to hear it. So Maria, if you have anything you would like to share.
Well, actually, we had a lot because, as I said, we're based in Switzerland, shooting in Kyrgyzstan with the Kyrgyz crew. And it was not so easy to bring the two cultures together because of the language. And the language was really a topic. We had translators on the set, but there were a lot of misunderstanding and really a lot funny things also happened because of that. But it was very interesting. So when you don't speak the same language, but you have the same goal to make this film, bring this message, spread it to the world. So it doesn't matter when you don't speak the same language. So you find a way to connect and come together. So there's more something like the language of the heart, when I can say something like this. So it was really touching to see how the different people came together and from different cultures to work on this same goal. And at the end, it was a whole family, and we didn't want to leave Kyrgyzstan again because they were not only friends, it's really family. And it was a very intense time and a wonderful experience. I wouldn't miss it. So it was really great to see how everybody saw how important it is to bring this topic out.
Yeah, with Swipe, there was a couple things. I actually forgot to mention that I edited the film, I did costume design, and I did all the VFX. It takes place in 1997, so you shoot in a location and then you get home and you're like, oh my God, there's flat screens like all in the store. Like, what do I do? Like flat screen TVs, they didn't exist. So I just like had the VFX, like motion track and VFX all of them. And the editing process took probably about 6 to 8 months with VFX. And the thing that's really funny about it was that it started as a class assignment. It was, we were supposed to do a 1-take shot with coverage. And so I ended up shooting it, taking it really serious, as I tend to do sometimes. And I showed the class the first half, and they never saw the second half. The second half is like what makes it. It's like, for me, it's what makes the story, because it has that nice turn at the end. But so everyone's like, okay, this is okay. What is this? And the thing that's funny about it was because I was doing the wardrobe. The reason why I mentioned that was because I was getting everything ready the night before, and I was trying to de-stress the orange hoodie with a razor blade, and I just like went right across the palm of my hand and laid the entire thing open, and it was just pouring blood all over the hoodie, and I could like feel my heartbeat through it. And I wrapped it in like cellophane, and I went to the set with like my hand like this, and I was like running boom and like directing and like giving kids stuff. It was just ridiculous. And lastly, I think the most interesting thing for me, the most fun part about it, was the second location was like a burger restaurant, and we went in there and we asked if we could film there, and then they were like, no. And then my cinematographer and I were like, this is the only place we can shoot. It's like, it's the only place nearby. It looks amazing. It's perfect. So we just went in there and we snuck the entire shot while it was fully operational. And we ended up buying so much food to keep them busy so they didn't notice us, that by the end, they realized, like, they already knew that we were doing it, and they were just so happy we were buying burgers. They actually just didn't care. So they let us.
That's cool. For us, it was very kind of interesting to realize that the location that we decided to film, which was in Harmony, Maryland, is actually the land that my grandfather owned in Maryland. And it sits along Route 16, Harmony Road, which is the official Underground Railroad in Maryland. And there's a creek that goes underneath the road, and it goes behind my grandfather's property. And that creek goes into the Choptank. And so it's probable, even though we don't have evidence, it's probable that Harriet Tubman actually set foot on the land that you see in the film, that she actually looked out over those same fields, went through that same forest, and saw a similar sunset. So the land really speaks, and that's something that we learned in the process of doing research for this project, and that was very deep and very profound. My mother didn't even know that it was part of the Underground Railroad when she was growing up. She would go down to Maryland, in the 1950s and 60s. So it was a revelation for all of us involved.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those stories. That's amazing. I love the labor of love that all three of you share in creating your stories, and we are very excited to share your stories with our audience. With that being said, we are kind of curious what you have coming up next and how our audience might be able to find you. If you have anything online that you would like to share, Maria, do you have anything coming up that you would like to talk about?
Yes, I'm writing on a feature film at the moment, so I'm kind of busy sitting at home and writing. So it's also a film about a woman. And so you can find me. We have a website from alakachu.com, and you find my website. It's mariabrandle.de. And so I'm on Facebook, Instagram. So just watch out. I'm there.
I'm actually in pre-production on my next short. I'm an enrolled member of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, and I'm doing my next piece is an all-native cast on the reservation with kids that are 12 to 16, which is kind of a thing for me. So a theme rather, not a thing. And you can find me at anthonysneed.film. GoDaddy got a lot of money for that, so .film, Anthony Sneed.
I'm currently working on developing a feature film script on the great inventor Lewis Latimer and his wife Mary Latimer. Latimer created the long-lasting carbon filament in the everyday light bulb, and worked with Thomas Edison and Alexander Graham Bell. And he's an unknown Black innovator of the late 19th, early 20th century. And you can find me at hipcinema.net. That's HIPCINEMA.net. And I'm also on Twitter all the time at hipcinema.
Well, thank you for sharing your stories and how our audience might be able to connect with you further. And we sincerely appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. We are so excited to have you. And on behalf of SIP, allow me to thank you all so much for joining us for today's roundtable. In addition, we have to thank our audience for joining us for today's Shorts Roundtable. We wouldn't be here without your ongoing support, and we wouldn't be here without you to bring film home. We hope you'll consider supporting our challenge match again this year, presented by Cuyahoga Arts and Culture to support the future of our festival. Our goal is to reach $145,000 this year, and we are so grateful for any amount you're able to contribute to make a donation or to purchase tickets or to check out our full schedule of filmmaker conversations. Please visit clevelandfilm.org. With that, please stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here again very soon. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.